Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and today we're going to be looking at Storm Bella in detail, plus the potential for some significant snowfall next week as Storm Bella moves through. Now we'll start off right now, and this is Storm Bella right now, positioned over towards Iceland, and this is what 9 a.m. this morning, because it's the 6 o'clock run of the GFS, and you can see it's starting to head towards Scotland, and we're starting to see a very strong gusts of wind, some heavy rain, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. Starting to reach into Scotland. It's going to dive south as this area of high pressure moves towards Greenland, and this is why we'll maybe see some colder conditions next week. We're going to be seeing some colder conditions next week with the potential for snow, as this blocking air of high pressure will shove colder air into the backside of Storm Bella. Now, as Storm Bella moves through, it's going to bring some very gusty winds overnight into Sunday as its weather fronts move through. However, the centre of the storm doesn't actually move too far until around Monday, and it develops still on Monday around the south of England, wrapped around with some cold air digging in. That's where we're likely to see some more snow, potentially further south, along with a lot of snow showers further north and along coastal areas. So we're gonna have to look at that in detail in a minute. We'll look on the charts for that in a minute. But as we move through, generally stays very cold. And if you have a look at the upper airs, it's not particularly cold. The -5's through, and will continue to come through most of the country as we get another reinforcements of colder air from the north. However, because we're maintaining under that -5 or well below freezing, in the upper airs, it means that generally on the ground it doesn't really have any time to warm up. So day on day it's going to get a degree or so colder, starting by Monday being maybe 3 or 4 degrees high to around freezing at night, and gradually by the end of the week it might not even get above freezing in certain spots where we have cloud cover, maybe some snow cover. We might even see some ice days potentially with this, just simply because of the stagnant weather pattern. As we move through, there's another area of low pressure developing to the north of Scotland here. It's not particularly deep, so it's not likely to have widespread impacts, but it could be a little feature that could provide some more energy for snowfall. And at this time, we've got pretty much the coldest air through the whole of the country at this point, or leading up to that. So we could be looking at another bit of snow moving in there, more persistent snow. Because at the moment, that's all we can really look at. We'll have to look maybe a day or two in advance for any potential sort of convection and little features. But it's more of these potential snow events we could be seeing. Now, as we move through, and this area of low pressure starts to move again from Iceland, so again, that could provide some more energy, and it develops to our south, and that could be pushing weather fronts further north into the cold air, maybe flooding more snow for the south, maybe next weekend. But again, it's quite far out, so it's difficult to put a pin on that right now. But that does look like quite a pattern that we're seeing in the models, with this low pressure to our south, high pressure pushing further north, putting in an easterly wind. Now that would be piling in snow showers and maybe frontal snow initially. And now if we go beyond that, high pressure does start to topple in, and it will stay cold, but we're bringing back the westerlies. Now again, I don't know whether to look into that too much, but again, by 384 hours, we're bridging up towards Greenland again and pulling down a cold northerly wind. So I don't really know what to see in that. I doubt that it remains fully blocked for the next 2 weeks, but I do think there probably will be an interlude where we do see some milder air come in. But I don't know if it's going to be that sort of pattern, maybe a low coming up from the south. Because remember, whenever the low pressure does finally break through, as long as it's not a slow breakthrough, if it's a quick breakthrough like off the Atlantic, we could be seeing a major snow event in certain spots. So again, that's something you need to keep an eye on. But we'll now have a look at the ECMWF, see whether that follows on with the GFS. So area of low pressure moves south, and we pull in those northerly winds. It remains pretty cold, and as we move towards that high pressure maintained in the Atlantic, and we do start to see that little low pressure move down, little feature move down. So it's these little features, even though they're not deep areas low pressure, as long as they could bring some moisture, we could be seeing some snowfall again on top of quite cold ground. It means that any snow will probably stick. So again, you don't need as much snowfall to cause disruption. and to provide wintry scenes. As we move through towards the end of the run, we're pulling an easterly wind, looks like the GFS was. However, we've got more of a stronger low pressure to our north, and it looks like it is plunging southwards, with the high pressure moving in behind it towards Greenland again. So remaining fairly blocked, and probably having a milder sector within it, so probably going briefly milder. That's what I'm talking about when I do see there'll be a milder spell within the next week or two, very briefly. But then a northerly wind returns with bitterly cold air again coming back from Greenland. So it's again something we need to watch. These are the GFS upper airs and precipitation for London for the next 2 weeks, or 2 and a bit weeks. So as you can see, we've got that cold plunge as the cold front through Storm Bella comes in, and we could be seeing a line of convection with that. Again, we'll have a look at that in a minute. Beyond that, it's quite cold, and that's why we could see that snow event there with the rainfall spikes here, or precipitation spikes. It's still not really resolved exactly what sort of cold air will be. That would be a marginal snow event, definitely, but it will be quite cold as there will be an overnight frost beforehand. Beyond that, generally the temperatures just slowly fall down. Still some rain or precipitation spikes around. So again, remember, 1 millimeter of rain is around 1 centimeter of snow. So here, where we're looking at snow spikes getting up to 5, 10, 15 millimeters, that's 5, 10, 15 centimeters, and an inch of snow is around 2.5 centimeters, so we could be seeing multiple inches of snow potentially. And even into the long run, more precipitation spikes as the temperature starts to lift up a little bit, but again, that could be snow as it's still remaining fairly below average, and the sort of ground temperature will be very cold. But again, we don't even reach above average for the foreseeable future until mid-January. So that's very interesting. We do always have outliers, but remember that the general trend is still fairly cold. So again, it's something we need to keep an eye on with that. If we have a look at the 2 meter temperatures, you can see it just slowly drifts off 3 or 4 degrees on Monday, slowly drifts off to around 1, 2 degrees, and freezing at night. And again, GFS is not the best at looking at little minor details. As it doesn't take everything into account, such as frozen grounds, etc., like that. So it's normally maybe a degree or two off, but it gives you the general trend of very cold conditions. And even in the long run, the average doesn't get much above 5 degrees until the 11th of January. Just think of a prolonged cold spell here. Not, I wouldn't say bitterly cold. At points, it could be bitterly cold, just depending on whether we do see snow cover and whether those temperatures do stay around freezing. But it's a prolonged cold spell, something we haven't seen for many, many, many years. Even the beast from the east was only 5 or 6 days, bitterly cold for 5 or 6 days, and mild really either side of it. Oh, well, especially in the south, it was at least. And again, it's normally quite cold in the north, regardless of you look at it. So, a very prolonged spell. This is quite very weird for London. But again, it's something we need to keep an eye on, as it could change very quickly within the model runs. We'll now have a look at the GFS for wind from Storm Bella. So as we run through, we've got strong winds currently, and we'll have a look at the live radar in a minute over Scotland. And those wind gusts move south, and they really do pick up around the south coast. And as we move through, you see maybe 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts will very slowly die away behind the weather front, and that could be a cold front there. And we'll have a look at that right now, the potential of that cold front. You see quite heavy rain, a bit of snow over the mountains right now, moving through, and then snow showers behind it. And then you see significant rain, and you see that's where we could potentially be seeing line convection. Behind the cold front, we could be seeing a lot of rain and maybe a bit of snow, quite a lot of snow maybe over some mountains. And this is the little feature on Monday we were talking about, the potential for bringing persistent snowfall in the south. Now at the moment the GFS isn't projecting it to be anything too significant, but again it's changing run by run, and you can see there's precipitation around the south. So we could be seeing snowfall with that, and you see a lot of snow showers piling in off the North Sea, even getting inland areas, little features moving through where you see the heavier rain and heavier snow, little features moving through, maybe giving some persistent snowfall. And if you have a look at snow depths, widely little patches of snow depth. Remember, it doesn't do snow depth too well, a lot of snow over the mountain. But if we have a look, quite a lot of little areas of snow depth. As we move through the longer run, you can see widespread snow depth by next weekend on the GFS. Widespread snow depth, and you can see 7, 8, 10 centimetres in central areas over higher ground, and even a couple centimetres over lowland areas, central southern England, southwestern areas, East Anglia, along the coast. They're getting quite a lot of snow as the easterly showers pepper in. Now, the 850 HPA is not particularly high if you look at that, but the thickness is very low. 528 is normally the threshold of snow. We're getting down to 520 in areas, and it's remaining going quite cold. Even as Storm Bella moves through, we get that 424 line moving through central areas. So as we see that potential snow event win the 528 line, even though when only around -4, -5, 850 HPA. So that's something to keep an eye on. Well, we'll have a look at the icon briefly, potential for wind gust first. So the wind gust, as you can see, icon probably models it a bit better, 70, maybe even getting up to 80 mile an hour wind gust there. But then it weakens very quickly behind it as the cold front moves through. If we look at the precipitation type, you can see there's that cold front, maybe the line convection moving through, and beyond that we see some snow showers. And then as we move through Monday, interesting to see what the icon models with this. It doesn't model too much, but you see a lot of precipitation just remaining out in the channel, and we see a little bit of precipitation come in, and you move through. So Tuesday is forecasting some snow to go through central areas, western areas. So again, it's still up in the air exactly what's going to happen. We really will need to keep an eye on it, and are there little feature moving through. So it's very much one of these where you're going to have to look maybe a day before to see any little features move through. If any little features move through, most likely in central areas or inland from the coast, will be falling as wintry precipitation in most scenarios, probably from Monday, Tuesday onwards. The Monday one is still up in the air, considering snowfall, as we're not 100% sure where the precipitation is going to fall and whether it is snow conducive yet. But it's the most interest we really had in the south, or southern areas, Midland southwards for the season so far. Lastly, we'll have a look at if this freshes. Here we go. We're having a look at weatherchannel.com, and you can see that is Storm Bella right there moving through. And you can see a bit of snow in the mountains, but heavy rain, and that's where that cold front is right there. You see the rain's getting enhanced by the hills. You see the darker colours over the hills getting pushed up over the hills. The relief rainfall providing a lot of rain, and you can see some patchy light rain, drizzle, and showers in the south as it moves through. If we look at the temperatures, as you can see, turning colder in the north as it moves through, but still quite mild in the south. And if we do move through to wind speed, you can start to see there's loads of stronger winds in the north, moving south, already starting in some coastal areas, going quite windy here or there. If we now go back to radar, and we will have a look at the future forecast, and we'll watch it run through. And this run through this evening, you'll see heavy rain moving in, and moving further southwards, and you can see sort of squally showers in behind the rain band, and it moves further south. And you can see it will be reaching the southern areas overnight, really. But northern areas are going to be peppered today, really, with the rain and the wind. So it's something to keep an eye on. It's very interesting weather coming up over the next couple days and the next couple weeks. Still haven't looked at the sudden stratospheric warming yet, as that's still potentially going to be happening, and I might touch on that maybe in a video in the next day or two, but we'll have a look at that on another day. But anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, give it a like, and I'll see you again for another video soon.